one of the exciting things when I was putting together this panel was that a lot of the media industry is still very busy. It was quiet for a little bit, but it certainly has picked up with rapid speed, and a lot of films are back taking place, and sports are back in action to a lot of degrees. So it was I feel like this is one of those industries that is quite blessed at the moment.
Yeah, I've been busy basically since I haven't stopped. Even when we didn't have sports, I was busy.
Yeah. I think the other side of sports with ticket sales and things is a little more challenging, but.
And that's what my sister does. She's a director of ticket operations for the Chicago Bulls.
That's got to be a little challenging right now. Well, I guess we can get started. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to have everybody here. We have a couple really awesome alumni with us today, Miriam Greenfield and Adriana. How do you say your last name?
Dineno.
Dineno. Exactly how it looks. So if you want to introduce yourselves and tell a little bit about yourselves, and we'll start there.
Okay, well, hello everybody, and I'm really glad to have this opportunity to talk today. I am currently a feature producer at ESPN. I graduated, I think, in May of 1995 and started ESPN in July of 1995. So it's really been my only job. I started as a production assistant producing highlights for SportsCenter, and then basically went on from there to just about every show that ESPN has, from Baseball Tonight, NFL, Outside the Lines. At some point, I made a transition to do SportsCenter documentaries, and then I came back to SportsCenter and producing content for SportsCenter and all of the shows that are on ESPN. There's a very strong Ithaca to ESPN pipeline. Currently in my group, my feature group, there's about 40 people. That includes management. There are six Ithaca College alumni. So we all got our start on ICTV and Bombers Football and Gridiron Report. So we went from Butterfield Field to Lambeau Field. So I would definitely say Ithaca is a thing that got us there.
All right, Adriana, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, I'm actually gonna. Can I share a slide?
Sure. Do
Okay.
I need to give you access or something?
I think you do.
There you go.
So I like to make things a little fun, and I'm going to share this. Can you see my screen okay? Can you see that okay?
I'm not seeing it yet, but hold
it's
on.
a PowerPoint. No? Yes? Let me try it again. Share.
There you go.
Okay. So can you see this okay?
Yep.
Okay. So hi everybody, Adriana Dineno. Do you like my fun slide I put together? I copied somebody at my company who did this once, and I just thought, what a wonderful idea to kind of pepper in some personal stuff with your work stuff. So I graduated in 2004 from Susquehanna University with a bachelor's in journalism. And I got out and I had so much newspaper experience. I was writing, I got to go to like a George Strait concert and cover him. And like I was doing all this. I was graphics editor of the newspaper, editor in chief of the newspaper. And I was just on this writing journey and I love to write. And then I got out of college and I couldn't find a job. And things at that point were pretty dried up for me. And Ithaca offered me a full ride to the graduate program in communications. And so I accepted it instead of going into the workforce. And I'm so happy I did. I worked for the technology center at Ithaca College, and it made me realize that not only could I write, but I could write about anything. I could write about technology. And so when I graduated in 2006, I did struggle to find a job, but eventually landed on my feet with software companies. And I am now a product manager for a very large software company. We compete with Oracle. But I recently published a novel, and that's something that COVID-19 let me do, is I have more time to do what I want to do and also write. So I recently published this novel. It's over here. It's called Unprepared. And it's about a person who gets out of college and she has a lot of trouble finding a job, but she makes her like, it's kind of comical in a way, kind of like a Devil Wears Prada, Nanny Diaries, if you will. Like she has trouble finding a job and she has these interviews and you kind of empathize with her. But in the end, she does end up landing on her feet. And some of the interviews, yes, are from my own experience and some are exaggerated. Um, and so COVID did give me the chance to write that novel. So yeah, so that's basically it. I have two little girls that are 5 and 6 years old. They're right here. And I have a cat and I love Broadway. It's all in my background. And I got that love from Ithaca. And I'm excited to be here today because I can also tell you the last 3 years of my life I've spent working on a recruiting module. Where I designed and help work on a recruiting module where recruiters hire people. And I'll tell you what, I learned a lot about how to get a job. And ironically, this novel that I wrote, you can get it on Amazon. I didn't know all those things when I was that age that recruiters do. So I'm more than willing to share any of that knowledge with any of you. So yeah, I know that's a long intro. Sorry.
That's a great intro. Thank you.
Longest intro ever. So yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you. So
I can unshare if you want for now.
no,
Okay.
I guess for a question for both of you is, and you both kind of touched on it briefly, but how has your workplace or your job changed during the pandemic, both temporarily or permanently? And what kind of things do you see kind of staying in place in the future, or maybe something drastically changing down the road?
Sorry. So for me, for Tree Chop's version, my job really hasn't changed. I've been busy since March. My job is to produce features for SportsCenter and all of the shows on ESPN, and that's what I'm still doing. Right out of the gate, I saw on Twitter Pete Alonso, who plays for the Mets. He wrote this beautiful kind of like first-person essay that he shared on social media about what it means to him to be, sitting out because of COVID and everything that was going on. It was really raw. So we reached out to Pete Alonso in the beginning of April, and he tracked this for us, and we produced it and got it on the air. And at the same time, I was doing something, excuse me, for the NFL draft. SportsCenter never went off the air. So SportsCenter always needs content, and we need to provide them with content. I mean, the biggest change is there's no travel. The interviews that we do are either by Zoom, or I found another app. It's called OpenReel, which records video at 1080, which is, I'm sure you all know, is pretty high quality video, and it makes things better. So yeah, again, at the moment, I'm working remote. We've had laptops for 9 years with Avid and Premiere. So we've been editing our features, doing interviews on the laptop, and I have a baseball piece airing next week, and my edit starts tomorrow. So I'm trying to prep that and find all the video. So yeah, again, from a Treetops version, things really haven't changed.
For me, as I said, I was able to publish this novel. Luckily, it was a great time to do so with so many people looking for jobs. So the time was right for me to publish this. I think it's very helpful. I started a blog helping people with job advice. I'll provide links as well to that. But as far as my full-time job, also in software, I've always worked remote. Even though I'm in Malvern, as I was talking earlier, I would only go in 1 or 2 days a week, and I would work remote anyhow. So I've been fully equipped to do that for years now. As far as my job security goes, my company was bought by Coke, Koch, not Coca-Cola. And Coke hires, Infor has 2.8 billion in revenue, and Coke has 110 billion in revenue. And they're very large companies. And I've been blessed to be part of projects that are not much needed. I've been working on a recruiting module where, like, hospitals like HCA use my recruiting modules to hire nurses. So, like, to hire talent. And so, like, with COVID-19, lots of hospitals use my software that I design. Another module I work on is called occupational health, and we give companies the ability to track when their employees have flu shots, COVID-19 tests. So again, I've been very fortunate to be on applications that I'm designing and writing about where it's very timely that, like, COVID-19's here and we're providing software for these customers. So I've been really busy. Like, my workload has gone up, not down. So yeah, that's
great.
a little bit. Yep. But one thing I did want to just point out is that it took me a long time to get here, which is why I did write this book, because it when you first get out of college, like, I got out in 2006, and I didn't know how to get a job. I had no clue what I was doing. And some of the best advice that I can give you is that the companies that take chances on you are usually the ones like my company, where we had what's called a green bean program. You see this here on the slide here. But Coke as well has like a intern program. And those kind of companies are okay with taking a chance on new college grads. I've stayed with Infor for 11 years now, and I have not left, and they take care of their college grads. I had a lot of interviews, and it's kind of depicted in here, where I mean, it was embarrassing going in, and the company clearly didn't like people with no experience, and you're like dying to get that experience, and you're like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Like, you're telling me I don't have the experience, but I'm like, I'm here to get the experience. So it's kind of like a catch 20, you know what I mean? So
I'm going to just plug career services right now.
mhm,
We have a lot of students on board, but and with the alumni, you have our services for life, and that's kind of our role, is to help you find the ways to get the jobs and introduce you to those green bean type programs and things, and just help you navigate that, because it can be very daunting and overwhelming. And we're here. So if you ever need an appointment, call or email us, but we can certainly help you navigate those challenging times, because we never want our students to feel like they're alone or don't know what they're doing, and certainly don't want them to feel unprepared like you did, Adriana.
yeah.
And
And I don't think I used career services enough, to be honest with you. Looking back, uh, everything's better in hindsight, right? But I think some pride in me didn't really want to like say I needed help. I've learned the importance of building up your LinkedIn network of people that you know. It's really important as well. Um, I also didn't realize, like, I would take it so personal when I didn't get a job. And after working in recruiting, you know, I had no idea how many applications go across a recruiter's desk every day. This screen right here, on my screen, is a screen that I designed for recruiters who want to power screen through candidates, and they want to look at the candidate's resume on a screen, and then they want to quickly either disposition them and they're not interested, or they want to move them forward. And I didn't realize that, like, how many they throw out per day, because they get thousands and thousands of resumes. And it's you don't want to be the one to get your resume kicked out. You want a really good resume, and that's what the career services can help you with, so that you know how to make a resume that doesn't get tossed. So, yeah.
yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
For a question for both of you, if you could go back in time and talk to your college self, what is some advice or something you would encourage your college self to do or to take advantage of, or something you wish you could have done differently?
It's funny. I always wanted to be in sports production. I was fortunate to get a job in sports production, and I've been in sports production now for a really long time. So if I was gonna say something to myself, maybe as long as I like 25 years ago, and the advice that I would give to everyone here is just to be versatile and to keep your skills present. And we, as I mentioned before, we have 6 Ithaca College alums in our feature group. The feature group is a pretty sought after group to be a part of. I'm not sure if there are people on the call that know Danielle Scher and ML Beltrandi. They graduated, I think, 2 years ago. They've been at ESPN now for a year. And, you talk to them, and again, I know everyone, like Ithaca College grads, you guys are smart. You guys have a great education. You have a lot of initiative. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. And all of those things, I think, led to me to have success and led them to have success. So I don't think anybody, I don't know if anybody cares about what I did 25 years ago. So I'll tell you about the 2 people that just graduated from Ithaca that are in our group, which is pretty hard to do. Danielle, she was assigned, I think, to a different department, but she knew she wanted to do features. So she, came and talked to the feature group and basically volunteered to produce features on her own time. So she got in with this pandemic. We needed people to do content. So Danielle showed that initiative in talking with a lot of people. She showed again how smart she is, how she can write, and everything that she can do. And now she's producing features for ESPN Deportes. Emma, she was also Park School. I think she graduated 2 years ago. She was in a rotation, and she's a feature PA. Again, I know how smart you guys are, and you guys are versatile. So I was working with Emma on a project. I recommended her for a project. She edited it on her own using Premiere, and I know that's what you guys use. She crushed it. She was given the opportunity. She did a great job, and she's on NFL Countdown this season, and that is at ESPN. That's a pretty big deal to be on NFL. That pretty much creates a pathway for you if you are interested in production and features. So people like Emma, people like Danielle, they took that initiative. They use what they learned at Ithaca. They have those versatile skills where, I mean, this has been the way, not like for the last 10 years. You're not just a producer. You're not just a camera person. You're not just an editor. You're required to be competent at everything. So when I said, well, what would I tell myself? Is again, just to be versatile, be flexible, and then just keep updating your skills. Like 5 years ago, I went to graduate school because I knew my skills were pretty ancient. So that's what I would recommend. Again, is just to keep being versatile, keep, being flexible, and you never know. I mean, when I first started, there were a lot of feature producers, a lot of feature producer positions, and now there isn't. So you just have to, again, keep moving forward, and again, keep being flexible.
Good, thank you. It's a great story.
I think that's really good advice. I think the same thing for myself is that I think you need to be open to learning a lot of new things that you may be outside of your comfort zone. I know it started in undergrad. I all of a sudden had to learn Quark for the newspaper and was like, what? How do I do that? And Photoshop, and like I taught him to myself, and get on the computer, teach yourself the new technologies. I never thought I would actually finally publish a book. I had always wanted to, and like I had never thought I would actually do it, especially with having these really cute 5 and 6-year-olds right here, who take up a lot of my time. So I never thought I would actually publish a book. And as far as like my full-time job, had to I've done everything from technical writing to now I'm a product manager. I've worked on e-commerce applications, now recruiting, and like I learn it. Like you just keep learning different areas where you need to learn, you learn. And just be very open to learning, and it will come. And you guys, the Ithaca taught me those skills to be able to do that, and the love for technology at Ithaca. I know within the Park School Communications, I had Dennis Sharsky for a lot of my technology curriculum back then, and I think he's still there. And he gave me a lot of confidence. And so did the technology services. I worked for them for a little while, and they have services available for you and for teachers to go learn things. They do like user guides and stuff, and that's how I got really comfortable with the computer. So just keep, learning as much as you can. So.
I'd also like to encourage anyone that has any questions, feel free to write them in the chat box, and I can get those answered as well. We'll try to get as many asked as possible. You both have touched on kind of a little bit of this, but how can our students and graduates show some resiliency and other skills during the pandemic at this time? Any suggestions coming from your own experiences?
This is a little bit outside of ESPN, but there's been a lot of, obviously you guys know this, change in media and the way content is delivered. And I mentioned before that feature producers were a dying breed. So I knew I needed to come up with a plan B or an exit ramp in case I got laid off or my job didn't exist. I wasn't thinking pandemic, but I was just thinking that the job's changing and what if I got laid off. So 5 years ago, I volunteered for Team Rubicon, which is a veteran-led disaster response organization, and I became a volunteer leader, and I was a communications manager for the Northeast, and my responsibilities were managing the social channels, public relations. I would be at like Hurricane Michael or here Hurricane Laura, and I'd be pitching to media, Team Rubicon. And for me, that was kind of something new. And it gave me 3 years of experience in something that I've never done before, but using the skills that I learned at Ithaca. And then I also, and I've mentioned updating my skills, I went to graduate school and I took classes in social media and strategic communications. So that helped me when I was doing this work as a communication manager for Team Rubicon. And again, as you're a volunteer, they don't have enough people, enough paid people. So I was basically given the keys and said, here you go. And now if I want to look for something different, I can look for a position in communications, in public relations, social media. I have got, I kept like all the insights, like growing engagement from like 2,000 people to 5,000 people. And the numbers that we got, the engagement and numbers we got were 10%, which is a huge number in social media, which I'm sure you guys know. But that's, I think the biggest advice is to kind of always have that plan B in your mind if something just doesn't work out, and making sure that you have those skills to do it. Even now, like in college, you guys you can volunteer for any organization, and it could be your internship, and you could kind of make it whatever you want to make it, and you can get those skills, and you could put on your resume. It doesn't matter if you were paid or you weren't. I have that same responsibility, and I did the same thing as somebody who got paid doing it. So I think that's one way to get that experience, and then another to be like, okay, if I lose my job, at least I've got something to fall back on.
Fantastic.
So while she was talking, I put a link to my blog in the chat. And the reason is because I have been peppering out advice via that blog about job searching and things like that. And one of the blogs that I'm actually working on right now is how it's actually funny. When I wrote this novel, I never went to virtual interviews. Like, I went to in-person interviews up until recently, and now everything's virtual. And so one of our biggest customers had asked my recruiting application to support video interviewing. And like a year ago, it was like, oh, yeah, it's on the roadmap. And they were just, but we didn't have anything like a hire review at that point. And now virtual interviews are like the wave of the future. So I would recommend using career services, researching on the internet these virtual interviews. There's actually 2 types of virtual interviews. There's a pre-recorded one where the company asks you a set of questions. They send them to you in advance. You record yourself and you send them back in, and it's asynchronous. Or there's a live interview like we're live right now. And they have different ways, these recruiters, to score you based on your questions and things like that. So I'd recommend kind of getting comfortable with this, with being online and doing your interviews on the internet. I know it's even it's different for me because I'm so used to, the in-person way. So.
Well, thank you.
I actually wanted to, I'm sorry, on the chat, May asked a really good question about, she said, would you suggest academia, pursuing another degree or master's program, or going forward with graduating and trying to find remote work, especially if money's already tight. She said she's a writing major and an English major. Yesterday, I was kind of going through the course catalog, and I was like, well, if I didn't major in what I did, what would I pick? And I said I would pick writing. I looked at again what your course requirements are, and you have great experience. Just a personal story. I kind of got to where I was, and I kind of got pushed into like a faster lane because I could write, and people are always looking because nobody can write that well. So you're a good writer. Everyone is looking for good writers. It turned out one day on SportsCenter, a baseball player, Curt Flood, died, and we needed to put together an obit for him. And I was practicing my writing and my script writing, and I wrote a script. So when Curt Flood died, I was able to send the script. I was a PA, I think, at the time. Send the script to the person, in charge of it, and Keith Olbermann, who is an amazing writer. And they looked at it and they're like, oh, wow, you can write. So I kind of got pushed to better assignments because I could write. So I think being a writer and, being an English minor, I think that leads you to a lot of different things, because no matter what industry you're in, you need to know how to write. But to answer your question, honestly, I wouldn't take anything off the table right now. I'm not sure if you're going to pursue like a master's program, it maybe again to find that plan B to give you another set of skills. But again, I'm also looking to take graduate classes too to get more skills. I don't think you never can stop learning. So I think again you can kind of do both. You can look for remote work, and you can pursue higher education, where again you just learn different things to kind of just give you a more like well-rounded and to be more versatile. But yeah, if you ask Jen, you asked that question, what would I tell myself 25 years ago? Maybe I should have been a writing major.
Well, I was a journalism major first, and I had a very hard time finding a job. And if you start trying to find one and you can't find one and time just keeps going on and on, that's why I pursued graduate school, because I didn't know at that what point I wanted to do. I didn't want to keep waiting tables. So I made the decision to apply to a lot of different schools, and they actually Ithaca gave me a full ride for graduate school, whereas I didn't get anything from some other schools. So I would say make sure you apply to a lot, because one may give you nothing and another may give you everything. And I would also agree with her that writing is so important. I mean, that's half the reason I'm at where I am, because I know how to write. And I'm in a completely different, like I'm in product management within a software company, and I write all the time. I was just writing a document before I stopped to come to this meeting. So your writing skills are really important. Now, with regard to publishing a book, I've just self-published this on Amazon. Amazon is amazing. They let you self-publish books, but I'll tell you right now, it's really hard to find a publisher and a literary agent. Really hard. I was on the phone with the author of Nanny Diaries 2 weeks ago. She talked to me because I was talking to her about my book and how similar it was to her, and it it's a rough field just to become a full author. I think I read a book once by the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and she said that it basically took her 6 books to quit her day job. Like that many. Like you can't become Nicholas Sparks overnight. But the power of Amazon is you can just publish something too, and you never know. So yeah.
Thank you. Good,
Mhm.
good answers. Any other questions or any other words of wisdom that you guys would like to share today? Anything that either of you find really challenging in your current work situation, and any advice on, like, facing obstacles in the workplace, or kind of what you do to de-stress, or things of that nature. I think it's certainly been at the forefront of my mind. Working from home has been a struggle for me, so I'd love to hear other people's strategies as well.
Well, it's actually kind of funny because I've been working from home for a really long time. One of my first jobs out of college, we would have to do releases at 1 a.m. Okay. This computer comes home with you. So you have a job, but it comes home with you and you're attached to it all the time. So, like, we would work 1 to 3 in the morning. And, like, I found I was burning out really fast. And that's the thing about being able to work remote. I always have, like, teachers or other people who are like, that's so cool. You work remote. That must be so amazing. And it's like, oh, yes, about that. It comes with a price tag because basically it's an umbilical cord to this computer. And so you have to kind of, what I have to do is kind of like separate personal versus the work computer. Otherwise, you'll just sit here for like 14, 15 hours a day and you never get up and you may burn out. So I think what I'm watching is now that people have gone remote with COVID, more people are like, oh my gosh, it's exhausting working remote. Like it is. And it's like, you got to kind of, like, I get up every morning, I get showered, I get ready for the day as if I'm going somewhere and sit at my desk. Like, I don't come over here in my pajamas and do my work for the day. I get ready for the day and I treat it like I'm at the job. And then at the end of the day, I stop and go have dinner. The thing I struggle with is I often come back online like at 8 or 9 o'clock because I'm swamped all the time. And so you do have to kind of find a work-life balance, especially like I was saying, I have a 5 and a 6-year-old. So COVID's been really challenging with that, finding a work-life balance, especially when they closed schools. So, because my 5 and 6-year-old didn't have school all spring. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to work and watch them. So, but I had flexibility to do that. I watched them and I worked. So, yeah.
I think this is more life advice. I know it's hard right now. It's hard for everybody to be like, when is this going to end? When are things going to go back to normal? When am I going to go back to school? Am I going to find a job? What kind of jobs are going to be out there? It's September right now. I'm going to graduate in May, but what if I can't find a job? I think part of that is you could kind of need to take everything, especially now, like one day at a time, 1 month at a time. It's really hard to sit there and say, well, what's going to happen in May? I don't know what's going to happen in May. Nobody knows what's going to happen in May. But if you just take it like day by day, it's a lot easier to look at things. It's just basically just focus on what's in front of you. And then if you do that, you'll eventually get to May and you might have a clearer picture of what things look like. But it's hard and it can get wrapped up and go down that rabbit hole of, oh my God, what are things going to be like? Because really nobody knows. And again, just I'm sure you probably hate hearing this. Keep doing what you're doing. Again, I know what your education of Ithaca is like, and that education has gotten a lot of people jobs at ESPN. So you guys are on the right path, but kind of don't really at this moment wonder like what that path is going to look at. Look at, okay, what's in front of me? I have to do this today. I have to do this next week, and just focus on that. And really do focus on trying to have fun and to do something fun.
Yeah, fun. That's important during all this for sure. And I guess in conclusion here, if you had to list the most important skills or characteristics that you think an employer or your employer would look for in a candidate, what do you think those would be? So our students have something to aspire to or work towards.
That's a good question and a hard question. We talked about the importance of writing. Talked about the two IC alums that just graduated. They take that initiative. They knew what they wanted, and they just kind of said, "Okay, this is what I want. And this is how I'm going to get there. I'm going to talk to as many people as I can." Again, for somebody like Danielle, she wasn't even with our group, but she knew that she wanted to be in our group. So instead of saying, "Oh, what can I do?" she's just like, "Here, this is what I can do. I can produce a feature, and I'm going to show you. I can produce a feature." So that impressed a lot of people. And then it's hard. The one thing I'll also say with my job is you just, again, building those relationships and making those connections. If you're going out, if you want to tell a story or whatever you're looking to do, it's within your group, within your team, outside of your team, vendors, stakeholders. It's just building those relationships is also super important.
And for me, I would say there's a couple things. So number one is being open to change. I've and you've actually said similar stories, but like, being able, because your role may change and you may being very proactive. One of my first jobs, they didn't have any marketing demos on their website. It wasn't even my job, and I noticed, and I went out and started recording them and brought them to the CEO and said, "Hey, here's some marketing demos. Put them on your website. Why don't have any?" And he was like, "Oh, wow, that's great." And so then I was able to switch roles within 8 months by being proactive. And I would say just also being open to change, because organizations, like, I've been not laid off because I've been opening to change, and they have done layoffs over the years. And I would say the other thing is just teaching yourself new things all the time. So
Thank you. Last chance if anyone has a question that they'd like to ask before we end for today. I don't see anybody chatting in the chat, but thank you both so much for taking time out of your day to share your insight and your expertise and offer advice to our students. I think coming from a place of experience and having your alumni background, it's just really important and it really resonates and it's so meaningful. So thank you, and look forward to staying connected and introducing you to more students down the road. So thank you.
And I just want to put another plug for my blog, because I'm going to be putting like more and more advice out there. You can subscribe to it. I put it on there. And there's also a link to my book. And I'm not joking. I was the girl in this book, basically, who had trouble finding a job. And it wasn't COVID. And you will land on your feet. Ithaca gives you such a good education. You will find a job, COVID or not. And so definitely don't be me. Use career services. Build that network, like Miriam was saying too. I mean, try to build up your network. I mean, I do that all the time now. I went from having like no friends on LinkedIn to like, I think I have like over 500 connections now. and like a lot of them are recruiters, friend recruiters. They're hiring recruiters and they're looking for people. They're scouring LinkedIn looking for you. Make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date. They scrape LinkedIn looking for the keywords of the skills. So definitely, make sure you have your LinkedIn, and career services can help you with probably
Yes, we
making a really good LinkedIn, better than I could probably do. So even though I don't have as cool of a background as her right now.
I can send you this one if you want.
It is so great. It makes me so much want to be there right now. So especially I want to go in the waterfalls. Like I want to go in the not the ones you're not supposed to jump in, like the actual ones where you can go swimming. So
Well, we just had rain, so they are all flowing beautifully right now.
I get to come back once a year because my best friend who was in graduate school with me lives there still. She lives right near Cornell, and I come and see her like once a year, and she lives right near Ithaca Falls. I like love Ithaca Falls. I used to go read my books there for college, like go sit on a bench over there. So I always get to come back, and but when the Nines pizza went out, I got depressed. So I used to love that pizza.
Yeah, that is that we do miss that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I will be making this recording available on YouTube, and you can find a link via the Career Services website. So thank you again, everyone, and stay healthy, stay safe, and until next time.
Okay,
Thanks, everyone.
thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mhm.